Okay, so right now we're looking at the inflation assignment over here on the left. It's fairly straightforward and fairly simple, and most of it involves using the CPI inflation calculator. So all I'm going to do is go through a few of them so that you can see how this calculator works. So number one, it says 1990, $5,000, and then they want to know what that would be in the year 2000. So we'll put 5,000 over here. We're going to select 1990, has the same buying power, and then we're going to do 2000. So calculate. We got $6,587.61. So you can see that there, you have $1,500 more that you would need to have the same buying power over the course of 10 years. Let's look at number three. You've got 1986, $5,000 to 1990 or 1966. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put 1986 here, and we're going to put 1966 down here. So in this one, we're going in a different direction. We're going to have a smaller amount. So $5,000 in 1986 is the same as $1,478.10 in 1966. So these two numbers in those 2 years have the same buying power. We'll do a couple more. We can do number 5, 1928 to 1958. We're still looking at $5,000, so we're going to go back here, 1928, and then we're going to go here, and we're going to say 1958, and we're going to see, so we see there's about a $3,000 difference from 1928 to 1958. So you can see that, in 30 years, it went up about 3,000. In 10 years, it went up about 1,000. So you're looking at about 1,000 to 1,500 every 10 years on average thus far. So we can look again. Let's go down to number 10. We're going to look at 1928, $2,500, and 2004. So we're going to do 2,500. We're going to do 1928. That's going to stay the same. But down here, we're going to go to 2004. So that tells me that in 1928, $2,500 was the same as, was the same as $27,616 in 2004. So you're looking at about, 80 years worth of inflation, and you've got a price increase of about $25,000. So you can see that during that time period, the average inflation was a little bit more than it was in the 80s and 90s. You obviously had the Great Depression that occurred in 1928, 1929, 1930. So that is one thing that would cause inflation to increase. So deflation is just if the buying power decreases as we move forward in time instead of that number increasing. Who is hurt by unanticipated inflation? Everybody's hurt by unanticipated inflation, with the exception, I believe, of people who are collecting money on loans. But if we've got unexpected inflation for the consumer, what that means is that unexpectedly things are going to cost more than they did, or another way of saying that is that their money is going to have less buying power than it did before. So they're not going to be able to buy as much with their money as they were before. And now the way that's going to affect your suppliers is that, if your consumer is not able to pay for your product at the appropriate price point, they might have to lower it a little bit artificially low in order to find that equilibrium and actually be able to sell goods. Otherwise, it'd be too expensive. Let's see. what indexes measure the inflation rate? Number 14, that's going to be the CPI and the PPI are the two that your class has talked about. Two types of inflation. I know that one of them is creeping inflation, and the other one is unanticipated inflation. So creeping inflation is normal inflation that increases, you've got a small amount of inflation every year as you go forward in the economy because you want growth to be occurring. So that kind of inflation we want. Formula for calculating inflation, that was in your notes. Let's see, the nominal GDP, and this is going to be some calculation, but it's just plug and chug. So all I wanted you to see is some trends in inflation. So that's pretty much the gist of that assignment.